So we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about some really complex ideas in terms of how the brain works, in how the experience of the body is incorporated in the systems in the brain, and how this manifests as the human experience in the mind and then back down into the body as well. We've looked at the ideas around attention and the growth of awareness that's possible in life in general, but particularly in these meditation practices. We've covered how learning is perhaps one of the most important ways in which these meditation practices actually change how the mind and body utilize information, utilize the senses, but also utilize the self experience in thoughts and feelings, and even the social cues that we get from the outside world, and perhaps even how things like our food and our environment affect us as well. So what I'd like to do now is offer a short guided practice that has an intention of giving you a direct experience of the process of paying attention, of noticing aspects in our body, noticing aspects in our mind, and how to work with these in pay attention and reduce our capacity for mind wandering, or reduce our tendency to mind wandering. And as a result, it has a capacity to build the properties of awareness that both regulate unconscious and conscious experience. So this meditation is inspired from the mindfulness tradition, and will incorporate ideas around paying attention to the breath, to the body, and even aspects of thought itself. So if you're ready to begin, I'd invite you to either find a seat that you're comfortable in, perhaps the chair you're in now, maybe putting a pillow behind your back, or sometimes just lifting the legs off the ground with a blanket can aid the seated posture. Or if you'd prefer to lie down, that's also completely fine. However, there is a tendency to go off to sleep in some of these practices. So if you do feel sleepy, maybe just opening the eyes a little bit, letting some light in. Otherwise, if you can, if it's okay for you, closing your eyes, just dropping any need to be doing anything right now. Maybe drawing your attention inward to how the body is right now, how it's seated or lying, and the experience of that in itself. Perhaps noticing the pressure of your body resting on the chair, or if you're lying, whatever you're lying on. Tense in parts of the body. Perhaps there's sounds from the world and sounds from your body that are passing through your awareness. Maybe note on or how the head is balanced on the top of the body. Just seeing if you can notice these experiences of gravity and pressure and temperature, and all that is held both within and below conscious awareness. Now the invitation, if you feel ready, is to get a little bit more focus on both the act of breathing and the experience. All the sensations that come with it, sounds, movement, temperature, airflow. This complex, coordinated, automatic practice that we do thousands of times a day. And yet we have an ability, attention and focus on it. Just letting the body breathe you, and however it chooses, some breaths deeper than others, some longer than others. And this in itself is self-regulation at work. It's balancing finally your requirements for oxygen. Maybe noticing the nose and the breath moving through the nostrils here. If you're mouth breathing, that's totally fine too. It's really tuning sensation in each moment of each breath in, out. And the breath is at the center of the stage of your awareness here. And of course, other things like my voice will pass through your awareness, noises inside and out. And here, this is the invitation to use your breath as an anchor, as a center of stage that you can always come back to, as we will always get the experience of distraction, thoughts, noticing something else. When you notice that you're not noticing the breath, just simply come back to the breath. It's completely normal to get distracted. It's this act of noticing that builds our ability to rise and fall. Nourish with breath. Maybe even noticing the back of the chest, of the ribs, the side ribs, and how they are moving and feeling. And within all this noticing of our breath, all the intricacies and the subtleties, of course, thoughts and emotions will still be here. It's completely normal. And although this might not appear to change anything, this noticing, it actually has the potential to change everything. Because in this way of being, of just paying attention, it transforms our relationship to everything that's unfolding in our mind, and what we can or can't control, and how we react, what we like or dislike. And if you're brand new to Prince Meta, it may help to just be reminded that meditation isn't something to do. It's really an experience. And there's no getting good at it. There is no place to go, nothing to really do, and no special something that you're supposed to feel. Just being curious, if you can, to how it feels to breathe. And how does it feel to breathe with awareness? Noticing if there's a distraction and coming back to the breath. And this is a special gift that we have developed as humans, whether it's through these senses of feeling or through our more cognitive capacities of thinking. The invitation is just to rest with your awareness on these things, exactly as they are. And we're anchoring our attention because it's usually so labile and agitated, so distractible. And we're anchoring it in the body because the body, the breath, it's always there. It's always reliable. Seeing what it's like now, maybe to give your experience, your attention to the experience of the full breath, the whole breath, from the start of breathing, even the impulse to breathe itself. And then the feeling in the body as you breathe in this nourishing air, and then the feeling leaving the body. Over and over, breath by breath. If there's any judgment about whether you feel good or not at this, maybe just considering or viewing judgment as just another thought, one that can have a heavy emotional baggage with it. It's still just a thought. Just noticing that you had that thought, coming back to the breath. And slowly we are unwinding these habit patterns of us. Slowly we can become more peaceful and more centered. more present. So if you're ready to explore a little further, inviting you to just spread your attention into the body, maybe noticing parts of the body that are the most visible for your mind, parts where there's stronger sensation. And then seeing if you can flip that to parts of the body where there's almost none or none. A little bit of these parts of the body, wherever that is for you. And perhaps there's areas of tension, areas where there's not tension. Maybe there's some buzzing or some pulsing, some feelings that are so hard to explain, but they're still there. Maybe the pressure of clothing, the felt sense of air moving over your skin. Spending a little time in one area and moving on to another if you can. Finding another area in the body that you're curious about. Maybe the face or the ears. Maybe the palms of the hands. The thighs. Just like with the breath, moving your attention, seeing what's there. We're not forcing anything to happen. And perhaps if there's distraction or mind wandering, just tuning into that when you can. Coming back into your body or even into the breath can be helpful as well. 3 or 4 breaths and then coming into the body again. And part of this ability to come back into our bodies about befriending ourselves and our experience, in particular, stillness. I'm so used to rushing and doing, but being right here in this present moment in stillness is not always familiar. To not have to do anything or fill up our moments, to not have to go anywhere or understand anything. Simply allow yourself, invite yourself to be at home in the body in this timeless present moment we call now. And if you're frustrated or distracted, just seeing if you can turn your mind and give yourself some kindness and some friendliness and Maybe invite some curiosity about this distraction. Noticing, coming back to the body. Seeing if the body can be your friend by just being with it, not judging it. What we've been doing is dropping down into what is deepest and most beautiful in humans. It's this capacity for really feeling, for embodiment, for wakefulness, for presence with an open heart. And it's already here for you because otherwise you couldn't be doing this practice right now, even if you feel like you're succeeding or not. So any experience of mind wandering or feelings around success or failure is not a sign of failure. It's simply what minds do naturally. We need them to do these things because they remain curious and active and have our best interest at heart and keep us safe. Yet, like everything else, these experiences in the mind are impermanent. They come and go, just as breath by breath comes and goes. Seeing if you can hold the whole of your body and of your breath in your mind, in your awareness. In whatever way is it most suitable and most kind to yourself. Even if you're distracted, knowing that you can come back to breathing, to noticing the body and each breath and each moment. Maybe even drawing in a breath and thanking yourself for being here in this practice, giving yourself this practice, giving your awareness this gift of growth and nurturing. So before you open your eyes, I'd like to finish this meditation with a short recording from Jon Kabat-Zinn. It's taken from a 8-week program that he's designed for people with chronic health problems, pain. It really speaks to the heart of the meditation experience.
Thousands of people with chronic medical conditions of all sorts have found it to be a good approach to take, a good shift in perspective, and an opening to the possible and the unknown beyond what medical science can tell us at any given moment with any certainty about our specific condition. Because even in science and medicine, for all that is known, there is always much more that is not yet to be discovered through further research and exploration. And it's the same with the mind and its capacities. Your mind is boundless, and it has the ability to hold whatever arises in your experience in surprising ways that are both soothing and healing. So we can be our own explorers along this path, and at the same time the beneficiaries of our own explorations. That is the journey that we will undertake together in this program. This work and the new understanding in medicine come under the rubric of a new field, sometimes called mind-body medicine and sometimes called integrative medicine. But whatever you call it, it involves the mobilizing of deep interior resources that we all have by virtue of being human. Resources of learning, growing, healing, and transformation that are built into our DNA and grounded in our remarkable human brain, nervous system, and immune system. And all of our capacities for learning, for growing in our understanding of ourselves and the world, for healing, and for transforming our lives are in turn based on our ability to pay attention and to cultivate our capacity for awareness, one of the deepest and most remarkable aspects of our minds and bodies. So in this program, we will focus on developing and refining our ability to access these core capacities we already possess that make us human, but that we hardly ever get any explicit training in. Our education certainly emphasizes how to think, but it never really taught us how to pay attention, nor how to rest in awareness, even though our awareness is at least as powerful as our capacity for thinking, because we can, if we choose, hold any thought effortlessly in awareness and know it for what it is, as a thought, a passing event in the field of the mind. How do we even do that? We don't know. It's a mystery. Still, it is in our awareness and our ability to pay attention that the potential for healing and transformation in our relationship to our pain resides, strange as that might sound.
You're welcome to just gently begin to open your eyes, take a few deeper breaths. Of course, as I have suggested throughout the webinar, that practice is practice, and the ultimate test of meditation is really how we experience the benefits in our daily lives and our general lives outside of practice. But it is a requirement to learn new things that we actually have to do them, a bit like going to the gym. Imagining going to the gym and build the muscles of the physical body, just like imagining a meditation practice is not the same as actually sitting or being actively meditating. And in the resources that we have listed in the resources slide, there's a lot of many hundreds of organizations and yoga and movement practices that you can find through searching online. And it's really important to find one that you feel like is being helpful for your particular needs and is consistent with your values as well. So I just wanted to cover some of the questions that were asked around this presentation. And we have half a dozen questions from some viewers online. One of the questions was around pain management and what practices are really helpful for pain. I think in the studies on meditation practices. There's been two that are particularly standing out for me. One is the Vipassana open monitoring style of meditation. So they've been looking at people that have practiced this, and they find there's considerable benefit for how the brain utilize attention, meditation, analgesia. The second practice that's interesting, there's a little bit more newer research, is some of these more active breathwork practices, the vigorous breathing like Wim Hof or Soma, or the one we call breath of fire in yoga practice. So another question we had was around compassion meditation and around the best overall effect on brainwaves. So I guess brainwaves are really something we can measure, very similar to the Christmas lights that we were measuring on those brain scans that we showed in the webinar. And really they're looking at the same sort of function, that different patterns of brainwaves have different network activities. And when we maybe look at more sort of synchronized, most healthy, ideal brainwave patterns, that really represents changes in these networks that we can light up on MRI scans, and how they talk to each other, how efficient they are at switching between networks, how smooth the functioning of these networks are, and how calm they are as well. So I think we're really talking about the same thing. And so yes, compassion meditation has got some very interesting research on its effects, both in terms of brain function itself and the enduring effects through the body and into the human experience around inflammation and pain and emotional stability and so on. Some resources in the reference section around compassion meditation, which Kristen Neff is a well-known researcher of this. Someone was asking about mindfulness training in New Zealand as well as Australia. And if you look at the Mindfulness Training Institute, they are the sort of parent figure for the Open Ground mindfulness teaching program that runs the MBSR courses. And they have a range of trainings both in Australia and New Zealand. And another question we had was around self-judgment in meditation, and I was kind of alluding to that in the guided meditation itself. And I think it's important to see if we can detach ourselves from judging our own judgment, if you like. So it's really normal for people to, sort of go, oh God, I'm thinking again, oh, what a terrible person I am, what a terrible meditator. So if we can maybe notice that we're just thinking, and typically when we come more into focusing on self and the negative self, it'll be carrying really negative emotions, heavy feelings, doubt, even self-thing, and it's an emotional component. And so if we can see how this mind-body system works, then you can see like the cost of continually ruminating on these thoughts, and how stressful and emotionally activating this can be for the body. So just noticing, oh wow, I'm thinking and I'm judging. Oh wow, okay. Oh yeah, breathing, that's right. Oh, my breath, here it goes. Oh, okay, I like the breathing. That's great. Let me just sit here for a while. So that's the invitation to sort of be a detached observer, rather than a kind of totally reacting in each moment to each thought. And that's how we detach these deep embodied responses that are driving stress and potentially driving a lot of our health-related problems. Another question was around, do you have to complete an accredited meditation course to be a teacher? So it's not a legal requirement to be trained to call yourself a teacher. It's not like being a doctor or a nurse or a physio. However, there's a body called Meditation Australia, which if you become accredited with them, then you will have met their standards for teaching. So I guess it's kind of like a moral viewpoint, is that if you want to teach, then it be perhaps morally right to offer people something that was viewed as a suitable standard. So meditation isn't for everyone. We didn't really cover that specifically, but and certainly some people need more specialized interventions. For example, the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy for people with depression, because these people have significant long-term mental health issues that aren't just resolved by a 5-minute breath meditation or a 20-minute breath meditation, etc. And NIIM doesn't provide any meditation courses at the moment, but I would really recommend the Mindfulness Training Institute as a go-to for all the mindfulness training practices that we've sort of covered in this area. And of course, there are many in the yoga teaching space as well, that they often do the breathing and the yoga movements. Final question was, does 2 times 20 minutes work as good as 1 times 40? Now, I think I may have mentioned this in the webinar, but I think there's a cumulative benefit for practice whereby we get in the zone, but then the sort of being really present is a learning state in itself. And so the longer we stay in this being state, this non-doing state, which is actually a learning state, potentiates the benefits, magnifies them even more. So 2 times 20 is probably not as effective as 1 times 40. But obviously modern lifestyles don't always suit people to find the time or the space to do a 1 times 40 or 45 minutes. So again, maybe as we become more experienced meditators, there's an option to kind of teach ourselves that we can actually sit for 45 minutes sometimes, or all the time. So it's a bit like gym training. There can be an element of fitness to this. And in our general lives. So thanks everybody for coming back. You're a second viewer of this webinar, and thanks for those who you found of interest, and that was something that was informative around the meditation science and the practice. And have a good day. Thank you.